to Let's Hookah, podcast where we talk about everything from hookah stories to hookup stories and anything else that we want to talk about. Today we have Mohanad Elshieky. Did I say that right?
You did it right.
Did I actually?
No, yeah, just just go for it. Yeah,
Just go for it. Just commit.
I love that you're asking me. Yeah, like just commit to it. Yeah, you're already halfway there. Yeah.
That's no one ever gets my name right, so I want to make an effort with people. But
no, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
You know.
Yeah.
Do you know how to say my name?
I believe so.
I'll say it.
You're not going to make me say your name now on this. No, because you wanted to cancel one another.
Yeah, well, right now you have all the power, and I don't like that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's my podcast. You introduced me. I'm not going to say your name on your podcast. You say it on your own podcast.
Probably no one knows my name. Well, my name is John Zuccarelli. I should have you introduce me on my podcast. There you go. My name is John Zuccarelli, and no one knows how to say that.
John Zuccarelli.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there you go. Look, you're a pro.
Yeah.
It's okay for you to give up some power, Mohanad. You're already a man.
True. Yeah, but I'm also an immigrant in America, so I already have reduced power.
Well, I am also an immigrant in America.
Sure. Yeah.
I do have a Danish citizenship, so I go back to a stable country.
I don't have any European citizenship. If I get out of here and I want to go back home, I don't have anything stable.
Right.
Yeah.
And your home is where?
Libya.
Libya.
Yeah.
And how are things in Libya? How is it right now?
It's a bit, I don't know, it's a complicated question.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about it?
I feel good because I'm not there.
Right.
Yeah, so for me, it's
for your family is.
For me, it's great. My family is good too. You know, I mean, it's kind of stuff that you get used to.
Right.
You know, it's not really. It doesn't. It's hard because like when you explain to someone here and how it is and everything, they're just like, oh, this sounds so bad. But like, I mean, I remember living there, and obviously it wasn't easy, but you just, you know, it becomes your norm. It becomes easy. It's like how people were during the lockdown.
Right.
It's hard the first like month and a half, and then you're like, you have a routine. You're like, yeah, everyone outside is dying, but I guess I'll just have to, you know, roll with it.
You do get desensitized with things. I feel that a lot.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Human beings, I feel like are like very like. I mean, you don't know like what your limit is until you're put in a situation where you're tested. Because like if you ask me like in 2019 and you describe the pandemic to me and what's gonna happen and everything, I'm like, I'd be like, there's no way I can make it through.
For sure. Whereas now I kind of feel like that was fun. I'll go back.
I mean, it wasn't fun. I don't know what kind of sick things you went into.
It was fun for me.
No, I mean, it wasn't fun. I'll say though, it's just like, you know, I mean, it was nice because everyone, you know, gave up on their hopes and dreams.
That was great.
Yeah, and there's no competition anymore.
No competition, no FOMO. Like, oh, you had all these plans. Good for you. Well, now sit down.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like the universe did just like slap us in the face. And because we humans have been the worst ever, right? Like, we're just despicable as a species. So the universe punished us, and now we're back to exactly what we did before.
Yeah, nothing changed. People have learned nothing.
Humans survived. Yeah, we won. It's humans won.
We won against other humans. Yeah. It's great.
We won against the universe.
And yeah, sure. Yeah.
So, want to smoke some hookah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at you.
Yeah, I don't smoke a lot, but
you like the flavor?
Yeah, I like the flavor.
It's watermelon chill. It's my go-to flavor. You might wonder, what is chill?
Yeah, what's chill? What is?
I don't know. I think it's mint, but they don't say because it's all synthetic stuff now.
Okay. No? So it's not there's no watermelon involved in this.
I mean, it's flavoring. I don't know what the chill part. Watermelon. Does it taste like watermelon to you?
It does. Yeah.
Okay. For me, it's just like something sweet but also minty. That's what it feels like to me. But yeah, it's the only flavor I smoke right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't smoke enough to even know what the flavors are.
When did you first smoke?
I mean, I've been doing it like for years, but like literally like maybe once every like 5 months or so. Like if if I have like friends who are like, like it's an out, like it's a social thing.
Yeah, it's a social
I
thing.
don't have my own.
Right.
And I don't really like, go to a hookah bar or something. But like if friends are doing it, like I'd smoke with them. But
all my time in the UK, so I lived there for 6 years, there was this one hookah place right next to where I lived. And it was the only one. And I would go there at least once a week.
Yeah.
Because it was the only way to feel connected to like Middle Eastern culture, like brown culture for me, because I was in such a white space. And the act of smoking hookah is also so relaxing.
Yeah, but it's like you said though too. It's more of a Middle Eastern thing.
For sure.
I feel like my friends who are like like Palestinian or like Lebanese or Syrian, and they're like really really into it. But where I come from, like is like North African countries are really not. It's not a big thing.
No.
Yeah, people don't really.
Yeah.
People smoke it, but like it's not. It's not a. You don't own it at home.
Right.
You don't have your own. Like you have to go somewhere to do it, and you just do it maybe like on the weekend.
Yeah. Same thing in Turkey,
something.
actually.
Yeah.
It's like a weekend thing. It's you go to a tea house kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And you do it there. The culture of smoking at home with your family does not exist.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah.
Like my parents definitely don't know I do this.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it every day since probably, like not every day, but very, very often for many years.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you don't live with your parents, they know nothing.
Right.
Which is great.
Thank God. Thank God. Okay. Incriminating. So we're getting into incriminating stuff now. What was I gonna say about the hookah? So in Libya, you still have a lot of family there, right?
Yeah, my whole family.
Your whole family.
Yeah.
Do you still have friends?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't really talk to a lot of them anymore.
From your undergrad or high school or?
I mean, most of the friends I had, literally, I had them since like through every school year.
Okay.
Like I had the same, like my friends who I went to middle school with, I went to high school with, and then I went to college with.
So you did college over there?
What's that?
You did college in...
Yeah. I went to med school for a few years.
No way!
Yeah, I did.
How did that go? Clearly you're a doctor now, so...
Yeah, exactly.
It went well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I quit after a while because I was never really into being a doctor. It was not really something that appealed to me.
What was it you didn't like? You're like, I want people to die. I do not want to save people.
No, all of it. I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, as a profession, obviously, it's a noble profession and whatnot, and all of that. And at the end of the day, it's like financially, it's good money too. Like the learning aspect of it and like doing the stuff, and I was just like, I saw my friends who liked it,
right.
And I know I did not have that. They were like really into it, like they were like seeking outside like sources and like learning more stuff.
Wow.
and all of that, and I was like, this is not me. I'm barely just like studying for the test and I understand this is not how you're supposed to do it. Like you have to be passionate about it. And then I was like, yeah, it's not for me. And then, I mean, to me in general, like college is just a waste of time.
You think that college in general is a waste?
Yeah, and I mean, I still like in Portland. I went like when I moved to Portland, I went to business school and I finished and I got a degree and everything. But honestly, I'm just like, what was the point?
Right.
Like, I feel like I've learned from like more from the electives I took more than actual like business.
Right.
And I wished I didn't go to business school. I was like, oh, I wish I went like to something more like that has to do with my profession now. Like something has to do with writing or like whatever.
I think about that often too. I wanted to study. I kept going back and forth between studying biomedical science or journalism. Yeah. I was like, well, if I'm a good writer, then I could still do journalism because you don't necessarily need to study it to be good at it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right? Because it's writing. But then once you don't study it, you also don't, the barrier to entry is there still.
Yeah.
It's you're closer to it if you study it. Whereas, things with medical school, if you don't study it, you can't do it. You don't need to do business school to do a business, or you don't need to study writing to be. Yeah. I wish I had done some creative writing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I took some electives in that, and that helped. Like just kind of like to basics and whatnot, just to have that. But I wish I I picked something more into that, or some weird I mean, there were people were literally studying comic book writing and stuff. And this sounds way more fun than than studying supply chain management.
Oh, I was so jealous of my friends in college that were studying international relations.
Yeah,
they went to study abroad as a part of their program. So many friends of mine went to Egypt for an entire year.
Yeah.
And they were just living their best life studying Egyptian culture, They weren't doing anything. They were just
of course,
having fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Meanwhile, I was in the lab 15 hours a week with 40 hours of different medical classes that I had to take, and it was so boring.
No, I know. I wish I did something like that. I remember I took a conflict resolution class that was, it was fun. I was just I wish I majored in something like that, that's something. It's just stuff that requires more I don't know, I guess being your own person, thinking, and it's what you put into it, and there's no rigid rules and stuff like that. But when you study something like business, it's you have rules you have to stick by.
Yeah.
You have equations and stuff like that you have to follow. You have to study statistics and shit like that, and it's just it's very rigid, very number wise. And you also study with the worst people on the planet,
right?
A bunch of douchebags.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just a lot of the people I went to business school with were either in they were athletes, a lot of athletes. And then people who are just you can tell that they cannot wait to finish college and get into business, so they ruin poor people's lives more, because it's just their whole thing is just finance bros and Wall Street is the unironically they just love it, and that's what they want to do when they see the world in numbers and stats and not people. It's more the profit aspect of it and stuff, and then you're well, I don't think I want to do that too.
Yeah. There was a point in my life where I thought anyone who was in consulting and finance was just doing it because they wanted to make money. And then I met people that actually got excited about, the ability to just create profits for these big companies. That's not money for you. Yeah. That's money for big companies, but you're just learning how to exploit the general public.
Absolutely. No, I remember during the pandemic, obviously, it was so boring, and I was just I feel a lot of people did two things. People got into cryptocurrency and just the stock market in general, just because of GameStop and all of that. And
that was a huge thing.
Yeah, so I started joining these some of these Discord groups where people talk about stocks and and all of that, and I was just truly, I was the only reason I joined, I was just I just want to know if I want if I want to invest in something, if I want to buy something, I want to see how people do it, learn. I'm sure there's a good and a bad way to do these things, and a lot of these people do this thing that's called day trading, which is, for people who don't know, you buy the stock in the morning, and then you literally sell it by the end of the day, or an hour after, or whatever, it makes you money. So you're watching it throughout the day, not throughout the months or throughout the year or anything.
That's wild.
Yeah, and based on what's happening on the news and the market, and and sometimes it's just someone tweeted something and something goes up and something goes down, and it's it's outside of money, it's just it feels like a fun game. You're just it's kind of gambling in a way.
Yeah, for sure.
So people get excited about, you see your stuff go up, your money goes down, and all of that stuff. But then you start seeing what kind of news they consume, and how they translate actual human events into money, and these are a bunch of psychopaths.
Absolutely.
I remember specifically there was a So there was like a company that sells like police gear.
Okay.
Yeah, so they sell police gear. They sell like security stuff and whatnot. And so people were watching the trial of the cop who killed George Floyd.
Yeah.
And the judge is about to give the verdict whether guilty or not. And people were literally bought into this stock because here's what would happen. If he says not guilty, then there will be a riot.
Right.
Which means that there will be more police gear being sold, which means the stock will go up.
That is unreal. Wow.
And obviously the opposite, it will go down if it's a guilty verdict, which what happened. So eventually, and I was so intrigued by watching these people do this, and I was like, I'm gonna look at this just the chart, and literally the second he said guilty, it just went down like that because everyone sold their stock. And I was just like, this is truly insane because you're looking at this from a human rights perspective. This is a person who died, and this is the cop who killed him, and all of that. And there are people,
but
there
all
are
you
families,
care about is your profit.
And these people are just literally, I'm just how do we make money? And I was just and it kind of shed the light on a lot of stuff when I'm just because I have friends who I went to business school with or I knew. I'm just okay, I know for a fact that you're not really a political person. So you're not really even a Trump person or a Biden person, a Bernie person. You're just don't care much about politics. But I was just now you're so excited about Trump. But then I'm oh, he's really good for your stocks, I guess.
Interesting.
So that's how they everything is money based.
I think in general, I can't trust a person who says they don't care about politics. No. You can't trust those people.
No. These people are at least, Republicans or people who really believes in and I'm just you have a set of values, even though they're wrong and fucking disgusting, but at least you know what you are. These people are just where is the money? I know for a fact that if free healthcare for all, there would be an angle for it. They would for them to make money.
Yeah.
They all want Bernie Sanders
for
to
sure.
win. Yeah.
For sure. But it's just so appalling that there are these kinds of people who can just profit off of human misery, right?
I know. I mean, literally everything, and that's the thing. I'm I literally am just okay, so I stopped literally just trying to do any type of stocks. They're just okay, first of all, I don't put my money into this shit. It's weird. And it's just a lot of it is just.
Yeah. But you also, what's crazy to me is you really have to understand social psychology.
Exactly. Yeah. Someone said that the stock market is just graphs of rich people feelings. There's no science into it. It's rich people, whether they're if they feel confident, the stock is up. If they don't, if they're worried about something, the stock goes down. And you can't control that, obviously, because anything can happen on the news. Trump gets COVID, the stock market goes down. There's a lockdown, the stock market goes down.
Yeah.
The war in Ukraine, for example.
That's been so wild how the whole world has been affected by the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, but also so much people, a lot of people made money that night, the invasion happened, because the second it was announced that Russia invaded Ukraine, oil stocks all went up.
That's
so if you had any money in oil stocks, it goes up. If you have money in what's that company, Lockheed Martin or something, it's a weapon manufacturer.
Okay.
If you had stocks in that, you'll also make money. And that's why there are people in Congress 3 weeks before the invasion in Ukraine, it turns out that they bought stocks in that company. So they were literally gambling.
But that also makes you wonder, right? How much do they help in contriving these situations for themselves to make money?
Well, that's the thing. That's why they say that people in Congress should not own stock.
Right.
like if they want to own stocks, they should give their money to someone and be like blindly buy stocks for them.
Yeah.
And then once they're out of Congress, they can cash out, but you don't know what this is.
But they don't.
But
that's not in effect.
But exactly. But like if I have invested so much money in a weapon manufacturer, of course I want Russia to invade Ukraine.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you are the kind of person who has stocks in the weapon industry. You have no morals, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like who call like COVID like fake and all of that stuff, and like again, few months before the lockdown happened, they also invested in vaccines, like like the companies that were gonna make it. It feels like it's all like, they know what's gonna go up and down, and they will vote to make that go up and down. And
I'm wondering why there's not, with the monkeypox thing, someone doesn't have an interest in this. They haven't like blown it out of proportion yet. They kind of are keeping it just to the gays, which could also quickly turn into some sort of propaganda against gay people.
Yeah.
But someone's not interested. That's really clear, right? Like with the COVID, it was blown out of proportion so early on before it was even a thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, but also again, because that's a new virus, though.
Right.
So there's like a new vaccine. There's a new everything for it. Yeah, monkeypox. It's a matter
from
of just like
smallpox.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's a smallpox vaccine. It does exist already. It's a matter of just like how much can you get here, but like the U.S. is not making it. They're not inventing it.
Right. There's no way to profit off of this.
There's no way to profit off of it. There's no angle.
Yeah, for sure. But I had been thinking about this. Like, what would have been critical to the people who make money for them to actually blow this out of proportion? And I guess it's the vaccine thing.
Yeah, it's the vaccine thing, obviously. Yeah.
And I guess now there's like a bit of virtue signaling as well. Like, why is it just the gays who can get this vaccine? Why is that a thing? And don't most people are vaccinated against it?
I don't think so, though.
I think if you have a smallpox vaccine, because we get that as like infants, right?
Well, you do, I do, but Americans don't.
Oh, is that not mandatory?
Yeah, no. So in 1972, they stopped giving the smallpox vaccine because smallpox was eradicated.
Right. Okay.
So in the U.S. they stopped. So that's why a lot of people are getting monkeypox. You don't hear it like people in Libya, for example, are not worried about it because everyone is vaccinated.
Yeah.
Like I'm vaccinated against, and you can always tell based on like I'm sure you have like the small scar.
Yeah.
Most Americans don't have that. Yeah,
Dude.
if you're born in the 60s or like early 70s, then you have it. But other than that, most Americans do not. And I guess it be because because it's like prolonged like skin contact. It's like how like HIV was, how AIDS was. Like it's not. It's crazy to me because it's just like I think it's being pushed as like a gay disease because people don't want to care about it. It's like how HIV and AIDS, you can get it, I can get it
for sure.
But they made it sound like only gay people can get it, and then you don't have to care. Yeah. And then once other people started getting it, they're like, okay, I guess we need to fucking find like a solution for it. It depends on like who dies from it the most.
Right.
But obviously, eventually, everyone needs to get the monkeypox vaccine.
For sure.
I'm just happy that I don't have to think about it.
Yeah, like the freedom that comes from just being like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to get all these things on my face and I can just live my best life out here. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, and also, like, it's funny because like, a lot of people care more about the monkeypox, even they did not care about COVID because monkeypox, like, makes you look bad.
It makes you look bad. It visually manifests. So there's also some like shaming for having it. So many people just did not care with COVID. I mean, I did not care with COVID about me getting COVID. It was more like, am I putting other people at risk? I was just like, I'm young, I'm okay, and I'll be fine. But it was more like, am I around people who could get sick from it? That was more the critical thing for
I was fucking scared.
Really? I was not.
I didn't want to get it because I didn't want to get it not because of the COVID itself. Like, I just kept hearing about like people like who are like getting like long COVID.
That was scary.
Yeah, so that's what was scaring me.
Yeah, that was scary. A friend of mine got long COVID and she was like out. Oh, you can maybe blow it out. She was like out for 6 months, I think, at least. She couldn't move. She couldn't do work. And that was so scary.
That's it. Yeah.
I think that's when I actually started caring.
Yeah, because you don't want to be affected by that. It's just like, it kind of like, you know, it's in its way, it's like, it's a disability, you know, like you can't, like I don't know like friends who have maybe like one person, but like from what I read, like people like who are like talk about it online and stuff, you know, they're just like, I can literally like get myself out of bed and take a shower. Like it's been months and I feel like my life has just like been ruined. Like, and these are like young people and like, and we don't know much about it too, because it's just like, why is it these people? Why some people got COVID and then they recovered and they're fine. Some people carried it with them. Some people lost their like sense of smell. Some people did not.
Yeah,
it's weird. Like no one really understands how it like functions.
It's so fascinating, and also just the long-term effects on lungs and brain, and there's so much more that needs to be investigated. I definitely know. I've had COVID a couple of times, and I know since I had the Delta, something about my breathing is different.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do a lot of hookah and I do a lot of stuff, but there's something different that I can feel. Like when I cough now, that hurts whenever I do it. So I feel like there's so much more to be explored with these diseases. So I had this friend in the UK. Their lab used to study HIV, and then when COVID started, they switched to COVID. Yeah. And they were probably the people in academia that benefited the most from it, because they had this like brand new thing to study and no one knew anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So they were just publishing papers like left and right, just figuring out the most basic things about this virus.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, what was fun about when I said I thought it was fun was the fact that I was living so fast. Like my life was just so intense in the UK. And, you know, I was doing a PhD and I was on all these societies. I was doing comedy, almost like, you know, going to London. And then all of a sudden it all stopped. I was just slowed down for the first time in my life. It felt like the first time ever in my life.
Yeah. I think mostly for me, it was just like, if someone said, hey, this is something that is going to continue for like a year and a half and then we'll have a vaccine, everything will be fine, we'll go out, that would have been okay.
Right.
But I think what stressed me out just like, until when? It was just like, is it 2 years, 3 years, more than that? Am I ever going to do comedy again? Yeah. And obviously, like, I wasn't really writing or doing anything. It was just like, I'm not living any new experiences.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like, I don't have anything to write about. I don't have like stuff that has happened. Like, I am home. I try to do like Zoom, like comedy. I'm just like, I literally, like, I have my old jokes that like make no sense, feel like weird to do.
Yeah.
And I don't have news and anything. I want to talk about the lockdown. Like everyone's talking about that.
Right.
It's not fun.
It wasn't fun. I remember there was this one bit I did on a couple of comedy shows. I was like, I don't know how you guys are doing, but I have not been able to write a single joke because for the last 3 months, I haven't met a single racist. I don't know what to talk about. Yeah. It's like, I was doing yoga, I was baking bread, I was going running. That was my life. I was so happy and wholesome. And I don't know if you relate to this, but you can't be a happy comedian. You can't be happy and a comedian. Like, you need tragic stuff to happen. Because comedy is just tragedy plus time, right? Yeah. There's nothing to talk about.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I mean, I'd rather be happy.
I don't know. I feel like shit needs to happen to you, and then you process it, and then you're like, okay, how do I make this funny? That's my comedy writing process.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, you need to like live like, you know, real life experiences or stuff, but I'm just really focusing on being happy lately, and it's great.
Yeah? Yeah. How's that going?
I feel like you write better when you're like,
when your brain is like sharp.
Yeah, when your brain is sharp, if you're happy, you're more inclined to write stuff. Obviously, you can be sad and still be funny.
Yeah,
and obviously that's not gonna stop you. But it's just like I feel like a lot of people are like, you can only do it in that way. So sometimes, I'm not saying you're like, it's just like a lot of people are just like, I'm like, okay, you're kind of making yourself miserable.
Yeah.
Because you want to like think this is the only way. And I'm like, you're also making people miserable, and people can tell that you're miserable. Like, so no one is really enjoying this anymore.
You don't want to be bad energy. Like
exactly.
You don't want that.
Like, I'm like, okay, you're just being a bummer right now.
And also, when I say that, like, you can't be a happy comedian. You could be a mindful comedian. I feel like that's one thing that I learned a lot over the last few years is how to be mindful, how to be like connected to myself and to my emotions.
Yeah.
And I think what's come out on the other side as like with writing comedy is that it feels like I'm sharper and I'm happier, but the things I talk about are still not happy things, right? Like,
of course, yeah. I mean, like, observing things is, it makes you sad sometimes, because it's just like you're like, you're in tune, like you overanalyze, you analyze it, and well, a lot of people like are just like, are not doing that, or they want to be, you can just ignore everything and just pretend none of this exists, and you're not really like mindful of like what's happening around you. And I feel like once you do that, I guess you can be happy.
Yeah.
But you're like, I don't want that. Obviously, like, I'd rather like just be, try and observe, and I also like, I don't think I can stop myself when I'm processing stuff different and like observing stuff, and like, it's just like, even when I wasn't doing comedy, that's how my mind is wired. So I have to, I guess comedy is like a good outlet for it. But again, like, I feel like a lot of people just like point to some like few comedians that they like, big names that are like either alive now or not, and they're just like, well, this person was like, depressed, and this person killed himself, and this person was just like, and I'm just like, but I mean, it doesn't have to be that way. Like, you don't like, I think it's just like, I think like in pop culture and media, like, we glorify that,
the artist, the depressed artist. Yeah,
exactly,
for sure.
Both
in music and in comedy, right?
100%. Yeah, like, even when we talk about like painters like Van Gogh or something, and it was just like how that man was so miserable, and like how he was like, and like see his art now, and that came from pain and stuff. And I just like, I feel like you said, like, it could be an outlet to process pain, but that also like I guess the reason you process it is to get over it and be happy.
For sure. Like, some of Van Gogh's best paintings was while he was at an asylum. Like, he was actively trying to get better.
Exactly.
Like, he did that voluntarily. He went to this facility on his own, and in order to become healthier. And his paintings, no one looks at his paintings and are like, this makes me sad, right? They're like, they're amazed. They're so beautiful. But with comedy and with music, I think often you listen to a comedian and you're like, this just makes me sad.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's just like, I'm like, this is an attempt for me. Even when I talk about heart, I'm like, this is an attempt for me to get over it. This is an attempt like for like a hopeful like approach to it, so I can like, get over it. Like, once I talked about it and feel better about it and everything. But just to be like, I'm sad, I'm just gonna like sound like a fucking bummer, and then I'll bum everything out, and no one is not gonna know if this is a bit or not, if I'm okay or not. I'm just like, that's not a good vibe to have, because I feel like comedy at the end of the day, like, I mean, obviously people have their own different styles and stuff. Even those like in the audience are not your friends, but just like kind of like it's a hang, like it's like if you're like with your friends, like no one wants to fucking bummer to just be around and just like talk about like dark stuff that leads nowhere.
Yeah, just for the sake of it, just to talk. Like, go to therapy then.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't treat the audience as your therapist.
Yeah, exactly.
I do think a lot of comics do that, and it's a common joke, right? Like, I'm here because I can't afford therapy. Like, no, just go to therapy.
Yeah, exactly. This is not This is not therapy. Therapy is therapy.
Right.
Like people are not, they're not here to, listen to you. Or like, unless your therapist laughs at you, then that's a whole other thing. I don't know. I just think it's weird, and I think people need to stop doing that. Just take care of yourself and like be better, and then come do comedy.
Yeah, for sure. Did you watch the Carlin documentary?
I haven't. Yeah, I'm planning on it though.
Do you remember his old stuff?
Yeah, I remember his old stuff. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've watched a bunch of it. Yeah,
because I just felt like watching that his old stuff was so cynical, and it was to a point where he had clearly just given up on humanity. And he was saying that it was so obvious on stage, but people were laughing. They were enjoying it. But I'm wondering how much of that was just him really, really sad with humanity and just
no
one really hearing him anymore because he was George Carlin.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, who knows? I mean, I guess this is maybe his way of like processing it and all of that stuff, and and. I mean, obviously, like making people laugh also makes you happy.
Yeah.
Like that's how I view it too. But I don't know. At the same time, it's just like you can never tell what was in his mind. What was the attempt there? Yeah. And I personally don't want to feel like I'm having a meltdown on stage. And I'm not saying that he was, obviously, but
it does. When I look at it, it feels like it.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the thing. Sometimes you're like, is that the persona? Though? Is that like a character? Is that part of it?
Yeah.
I mean, I do definitely need to watch the thing just to I'm sure there are like people who will talk about it, but him as a person and all of that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know him outside of, like the stuff that I've seen.
Yeah. I think the special, definitely, this documentary series definitely gives an overview of who he was. Wait, was it a series or was it one episode?
I think it was a series. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a couple of episodes.
A documentary series. Yeah.
It does seem like he was this really tortured person.
Yeah.
And he was just so fed up with humanity. And when he was on stage, he was incredibly cynical. But people were laughing because I think people thought it was a persona. But when you know the backstory to his life, it's like, that doesn't seem like a persona. That seems like he was just like legitimately had given up on people. But I don't know. I don't know how much of that is just, I also hate doing this. I hate analyzing what artists thought when they did this so bit. Because in school, I hated that so much. In literature class, when you had to analyze why you'd read a text from like 300 years ago and you had to figure out what the artist was saying. I hated that so much.
I know. I mean, like you can see that like even if someone like, sometimes like people like who critique comedy or stuff, like you'd see, or like they comment even on your jokes and just like, oh, just very interesting, that's what you got out of it.
Yeah,
like, 'cause that's not what I meant, but I guess it's just open to
interpretation, right? Yeah. Well, I put out a reel today and I got loads of comments being like, women are not funny. It's like, that's great. That's the interpretation here. Is that women are not funny.
Yeah, I don't think people watch these clips. They just see a woman and that's their go-to.
Yeah.
It's boring. It's so boring. Yeah, I'm just like, with these people, I'm just like, at this point, I'm just like, I don't really see them as real people anymore.
They're not. They're just miserable people on the internet.
Yeah, it's so sad. And I don't know. Every day I'm just like trying. I'm at a point where I'm just like, I hate posting. Like and I'm not talking about reels. I'm like literally talking about like even posting a story on Instagram. I just feel like it just gives me anxiety when I post something. Yeah, because it's just like, you don't ever know like what these weirdos are gonna say or like who's gonna comment on it. And then there's also like the aspect of just like who's viewing it and who's seeing what you're posting, like people who reply to it. And it's just like, sometimes like, I actually don't want to have a conversation right now.
Yeah,
but
it's a weird world out there.
Yeah.
The social media world is so weird.
Yeah. Like at least Instagram is a space that's better than Twitter, for example. Like that space is just so far gone at this point to me. Like I post there still, but I'm just like, I delete stuff all the time because I'm just like, I actually don't want to engage in this conversation right now. And people are just like, think it's fun to be like so cynical and so like edgy in a weird way.
Yeah. I mean, I can't for the life of me think of a situation where someone will post something that they think is funny or like that they're happy about and me just putting them down. Like, I don't understand what kind of people do that.
I know.
Just can't relate to this at all, but I don't know. Maybe it's because we are in the industry of posting out things and making ourselves really vulnerable to other people.
Well, that's, I mean, that's an aspect of it. But also, like, I think people just like, I don't know when this happened or something. I think people are just like, feel like they can just say these stuff to people who do comedy because you're supposed to just like, supposed to be funny.
Right.
Also, you're supposed to be able to take a joke, and anything they say to you is a joke.
Oh, sure. Right.
They tell you to kill yourself, but that's, you're supposed to take it as a joke, like you should be able to handle roast. And I'm just like, no, I actually don't want you to be mean to me at all.
No, I don't. I don't want people to be mean to me. I'm not mean to other people.
Yeah, I think once this whole like roast battle thing became a thing, and people like started like doing the roast shows and all of that, people think it's just like a thing that people do, and I'm just like, I mean, some people are good at it and good for. I do not do them, and I do not participate in like.
Unless you're Jeff Ross, just like don't. I don't know.
I just think to me personally, I'm just like, I like watching them. Like I would watch it, but I'm just like, I actually rather that you don't say something mean to me, and I actually don't want to say something mean to you. I just don't think it's not fun to me. It's not funny. It's not fun. It's not that I can't take a joke. I'm just like, I just don't think there's a reason.
Right. Like I banter a lot. I do that. But with my friends and my family.
Yeah, I guess.
That's a different relationship. Like my parents say really mean things to me that are supposed to be funny, but that's our relationship. I will return the favor as well. But you're mean to me on the internet. I can't be mean to you. I can't give this back to you.
Yeah, who are you?
Right. I don't know
who you are. It's a burner account.
Right.
And just saying mean stuff to me. And it's not funny because you're like, I mean, you obviously genuinely think that, or you're just saying that to be mean, or just like, and sometimes people will tell you that. Like sometimes like I had people like on Twitter or something, and just like, I'm sorry, I was just bored, and they just really just wanted to fuck with you.
Wow.
Yeah, they're just like, it's just like, cool.
Right.
Glad that you're just fucking sick in the head. Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny today. Someone posted "Women aren't funny," and then the whole bit is about how I was afraid in the UK that someone wouldn't like my jokes, and they make a phone call, and turned out that. And then someone goes, "Women aren't funny," and then someone else posted. It was I think it was a brown woman, because I love that she stood up for me, and it was like she said, "You are that white chick, posh British chick," and this person was like, still not funny. And then this other person just kept going, and it was just like,
I know, yeah, people will start fighting in their replies.
Yeah, that was like, okay, at least I'm not crazy. Like there are other people who think that this is absurd.
No, it's such a negative space, and like these people are just like so lonely and alone and miserable, and they're just mad at everyone in the world, and they think that they just like owe them stuff.
Yeah, and
they'll just take it out on you, and I'm just like,
yeah.
I mean, most of us are just trying our best here, like it's like this whole thing fucking sucks.
I know.
Most of it, I'm just like, go out, live your life. I don't know, do something that makes you happy. Like this is not going to make you happy.
No, it's true. Yeah, let me get some more hookah. I hog it, so maybe keep it there for a bit if you want. Yeah. So when was how old were you when you first tried hookah?
I feel like I tried it late, and I was like at least 18.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think for me as well, it was later in life. It's funny, in Europe, there's this like perception that hookah is this thing you do when you're 14 and you can't get into bars, but somehow you can do hookah. Like, where are those places? Like, most places in Denmark, you couldn't get into it until you were 18.
Yeah.
So I don't know what this experience other people have.
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, they're like, where I'm from, you can do it whenever, like how old you are, like as long as you can afford it, I guess. But also, yeah. But at the same time, I don't know. I just never felt like inclined to do it. Like even like when I say I try it for the first time, I literally just tried it.
Right.
And that was it. Like I think for a lot of people, it's like more like the cultural aspect of it.
Yeah.
And just hanging out with people and like having something to do together.
Yeah, and I think for me, for most of my life, most of my friends were not drinking alcohol. So this was the thing that we'd go out and do. You know, like people go to bars, right? And they have a drink. Friends have a drink. For us, it was we go and have hookah together. That was our thing. Going out meant going out for hookah.
Yeah.
So that was just like a way to just sit around, play card games, smoke hookah, and it was just always so fun.
Yeah. Exactly. Especially with cars and stuff like that.
Yeah, still when I go home now to Denmark, most of my friends still go out for hookah. And when I'm there, this is what we do together. And then we play card games, and if we're two people, we'll play backgammon, you know, tavla. Yeah. And if we're multiple people, we'll play cards. So I don't know. It's like it's a nice social thing for me. It's also it was really weird back in the UK because I would go to this hookah place all the time, but I didn't really have any friends who liked doing it. They would come only to like spend time. Then I found out that I had loads of male friends. Yeah. And I noticed like my male friends always wanted to like go out to like a bar or whatever. So like places with music and they could just drink. Whereas my female friends would be like, yeah, I'll come over for a cup of tea. And then you sit there and you have your tea and you talk about the things that you need to talk about. So I found out that if I got my male friends to come to the hookah place with me, then I could really crack them open and get them to talk to me about things that they wouldn't do at a bar.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because I wanted to know about things that they felt and like what it wasn't just like, oh, so who are you hooking up with this week, or like how's work going?
The common question: who are you hooking up with this week? Your friends ask each other. Yeah.
So how's the dating life going? Whereas at a hookah place, you could be like, how's the dating life going? And then they'd be like, yeah, I'm seeing this girl, and then you'd be like, oh, so how do you feel about it? How does that feel? Yeah. What would you want to be different? And you'd have a whole different conversation than you would at a bar.
Yeah. I don't like hanging out at bars at all. I think they're loud, and the thing is just
for sure.
And I don't like places where I have to shout.
No.
When I'm talking to people. No. It just fucking sucks.
And I feel like hookah smells good. Bars usually don't smell good.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think it's just such an American thing, and I don't care for it. Just hang out at bars. I don't like to go in bars. When someone invites me, I'm just like, unless there's a show, I'll go do my spot. But I'm not gonna go hang out at a bar unless we sit outside and it's quiet.
Yeah, and there's food.
Exactly. Yeah.
Food is like integral to anything I do. It's like
exactly. I don't get the culture of like drinking and everything. I mean, it's just people are used to it, but it doesn't really appeal to me by any means. Yeah.
No, for sure. So how is your dating life going?
My dating life.
Perfect segue.
My dating life?
Yeah, I know you're in a relationship, right?
Well, yeah, I've been in a relationship for 5 years.
Yeah, how's that going? Are you about to get married, or?
It's going great. I mean, it's.
You guys met in college?
Yeah, we met in college. Yeah, we've worked at the same place for 2 months.
Oh, okay.
That's how we met, and then we became friends, and then we started dating.
And so, did you move here first, or did she, or together, or what?
No, we moved together. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is she also in comedy? Okay.
No, but we started dating back in Portland.
Right.
Where we went to college. So then we moved here together. Yeah.
Do you miss dating?
No. I mean, honestly, like I've never even like went like on like dating on apps. I've never done that.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
It's miserable.
No, I know it is miserable. Like even like when I did in the past, it was literally people like who I knew in person and met, and then like we had like a pre-existing like not even a friendship, like I know them through a friend or something like that, and then like we start talking and all of that, but like never really just like I've never like went on a date with a stranger.
On the flip side, I've never gone on a date with someone I knew already.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? It's like such a different world.
No, I know. I like literally remember I downloaded dating apps and I tried it for a day, and then I was just like, this is fucking exhausting.
It's gross.
I don't need a new anxiety, And I mean, I get it. To some people, that's the only way, especially a place like New York or all of that. But just the fact they just swipe on people and just
And culturally, I think behaviors have changed a lot. Probably with the dating apps, people are far less inclined to go up to someone now to talk to them or to establish a connection before, because the dating apps just make it so much more accessible to you.
Yeah.
So it relies way less on that first interaction with people at a bar or at wherever.
Exactly. Yeah. I just don't think texting someone or talking to them or looking at their profile means anything. Sometimes people are sometimes people are good people and they're fun to be around, but they just do not know how to market themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and some the worst people know how to market themselves.
They do, yeah. It's all the finance bros.
Yeah, exactly. They know what words to do. Some of them don't even create their own profiles. They have someone else do it for them.
Yeah, that's apparently a whole thing now.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Is just I don't know who this person is. It's such a. I don't know. It's very weird to me.
I've given up.
Yeah, it's just
I've given up. It's not fun anymore. The novelty of it wore off really fast, and it's just you go on dates with so many weirdos, weirdos as in just people I don't want to spend time with.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I get that. I don't know. I just feel it's such a.
So, what would be a move when you met someone? Would you just message them first, non-aggressive? I'm trying to figure out what you were doing back then.
Oh, I mean, look, like I said, literally, it's just it's not even because I think anyone I've dated, it wasn't even you message them with the intent of dating. You just I literally just become friends first, and then sometimes you become I become friends with new people, and then we just are friends.
Right.
But sometimes stuff changes, so it's just I've never met someone through a person, then okay, asked them on a date. It was just I had to know them for at least months.
Right.
Before any of that happens. So, which honestly, it just saves a lot of the time, because it's just you've already gone through these initial barriers of just pretending to be someone who you're not, and then once you get to know them, you're okay, is this person a good person to be around or not?
Yeah, I can see that. For me, the problem is I friend zone people right away. If I hang out with someone in a group setting, if I hang out with, males, females, I just automatically think of people as my friends. So then there's no way that could change for me.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because I grew up with boys and male cousins and loads of and their friends. So I was just always comfortable being friends with guys.
Yeah.
So when I meet guys, I just automatically make them friends. I think of them as nothing else. It's just friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think it's difficult to revert back.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I thought, okay, well, the apps at least allows me to just think of people as a viable option. But then that's not been fun. So.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I
love how you're
No, I have no advice, because I really don't know.
I'm not seeking advice.
No,
I don't think there is.
I'm not
any advice.
No, I'm not even I'm not saying you're asking for advice. I'm just saying that even if I wanted to, I'm just because I mean, you're not the first person obviously to tell me that. I hear that from so many people, and it's just
yeah, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Yeah, I think it's also so much easier being on your own and not having to deal with other people.
Yeah. I honestly think I really, really think that. I mean, I don't I know people say love on the first sight and stuff. I don't really believe in that, because
Right.
you don't love someone,
No.
but you can tell if this is gonna can be something or not.
That's true.
Just based on
personality.
is this someone you want to hang out with again? Is this someone I feel people go on second and third dates trying to find that thing they haven't found yet. It's if it's not from the first conversation. Like there's nothing that you guys both like or something. Like something like you connect on.
Yeah.
Like at least you need that. Like do you like it? Like do you even like the same show? Like just find one thing that you like.
Yeah.
Like because I know like I've met people where I'm just like, you know, before like I start dating Rosie, where it's just like they're a fun person to be around and they're like a friend of a friend or something, but I would never see myself with that person because they're just based on like talking to them, like we have no, like we don't have like the same interests at all.
Right.
And it's just like, is this person I can't tolerate for an hour or two? Is this person I can spend a whole day with? And that's a different thing. I think people don't understand that. They're just like, no, this is a person that you can spend an hour with every day or like every week, but not more than that. Like if it's not someone that you can like travel with for a week, then maybe it should not.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
Recently we've been talking with some of my friends about giving nice guys a chance, because you know the people you swipe on are people that you find like immediately attractive, right, based on their profile.
Of course, yeah.
So you then go on a date and you're like, okay, this is an attractive person, but you already knew that because it's like an aesthetic thing, right? But then either you're attracted to them on the date or you're not attracted to them, in which case you might never see them again. But then people who are just immediately attractive in that way, I find are often not good people either.
Yeah.
They're like fuckboys. They know how to work their attractiveness. They know what they can get out of it. Whereas a lot of nice guys, you know, you meet them and you're not like immediately attracted to them. But they might be fun to spend time with. Yeah. And for me, recently, I've been trying to like give those guys a second or a third date.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
But it's kind of hard because actually Katie Boyle was telling me, shout out to Katie, she was telling me how her therapist says to give a nice guy 3 to 5 dates. Yeah. Because you might get attracted to their personality and not something immediate. And I guess that goes back to what you're saying about being friends with someone first and then thinking, can I actually spend more time with this person?
Yeah, exactly. Right? Exactly. Yeah, because like I have friends who I'm just like, you know, I like hanging out with them like in specific like contexts. You know, like this is someone, I would like, you know, go and watch comedy with, or like this is someone you'd go on to a concert with. They were like fun in that context, like a road trip, they're fun in that. But like it's not a person that you just like want to hang out with and have a conversation about something that they don't really, that's not really their thing.
Yeah.
Especially like when I lived in Portland, a lot of people like were like into hiking and like camping and stuff like that. So sometimes like friends are like love hiking or something. I'm like, oh yeah, when I'm going on a hike, I'll go with this friend because they're just like, they make it more fun because they're like very excited about it and everything. Right. But like if you talk to them about like TV shows that you like or like comedy and writing, you don't do that. So it's just like, yeah. So I feel like when you date someone, you want someone who just like can fill all of these in any context.
Yeah,
you like spending time with them.
Yeah,
you know, whether like watching TV together, going out, traveling, having conversation, or literally just sitting there and saying nothing.
Yeah,
you know, because at the end of the day, like they're gonna be around for
sure
for a long time, and then you know, like 1-2 years. Like I just feel like. I guess my thing is just like if you feel like you have to tolerate someone, then it's just not. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there are times where I've been like, can't wait for this day to end so I can go home and be alone. And that's like, if you ever feel that way, you probably should never go on another date with them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, if you just want them to be gone, and it's just like.
Oh man, the best date I went on like that was with someone. Went on a date. It was just supposed to be brunch, but then we ended up spending like 13 hours together, and the conversation just never stopped. Yeah. Eventually, we ended things because we got too close. Yeah. Too fast. So like it was intimidating, and it fell apart because of that. Which is like, you know, but yeah, that's I feel like that's a real thing to want in your relationship, to be able to just talk about anything and everything, just nonsense. But
yeah, exactly. It just have to be fun. I don't know how to, I don't know how, that means different stuff for different people.
Yeah.
But, like I would I wouldn't date, I wouldn't ever date someone who's just someone who's just I just hate watching comedy, or I don't get that world or something like that. And I just okay, as a person, if you're a friend, okay, that's fine. But if someone you're gonna spend time on, I'm well, that's an integral part of my life. If you don't want to be involved in that, I don't think that's just gonna.
For sure.
It's not healthy. It does not work that way.
Yeah, I wonder what there are some people that make it work. Their lives and their partner's lives are so separate, and they don't really talk about that. They don't talk about the thing they spend majority of their life doing, work. Right? That's what we mainly do. But they somehow make it work. I
don't know. I think it's psycho.
Yeah. I think they settle. I think that's what it is.
But that's the thing. Yeah, I don't want ever to do that. I Rosie works in UX and graphic design and all of that. I don't know how to do any of that shit. But at the same time, I listen to her talk about it because it's just it's something good to learn about, and just seeing what she's been working on, watching her work and stuff like that. I don't have to do it myself, but and I mean vice versa, but with someone keeping it separate, how am I not supposed to know about that part of your life and not talk about it? It's just weird.
Yeah. And it is a third of your half of at least your waking hours, exactly. Right? Is spent on that. No. Does she give you advice on comedy? Do you run jokes by her?
I do sometimes. Okay. I ask her what she thinks and all of that. But yeah. She's very helpful, especially when I have to write something, or I'm working on a pilot or something, and she'd read it and she'd have a lot of good intel, or she would help me rewrite something and all of that stuff. And she's done some, she does some comedy writing herself. She had a group that she used to write a scripted podcast with.
Oh, cool.
And so she has an experience in that. But I guess what I'm saying is she doesn't do stand-up comedy as a thing, or she does it more something she enjoys doing, and as a hobby and all of that. But yeah, we do this stuff together, and it's always fun just to kind of have someone to, and she shows me her work too, and she asks me what I think about it, because at the end of the day you're doing it for people, so you need a viewer of it to tell you what they think. But yeah, I feel just keeping it separate would be so weird.
So weird.
It wouldn't make any sense.
No. Yeah, I totally feel that. How do you write your jokes?
I really don't write.
No.
I don't when I say write, actual
sit down and write a joke.
Yeah, the actual act of because I just don't know how to just sit down and just write every word my thoughts or something. I usually honestly just talk out loud to myself, and I just have to basically just repeat lines over and over again, and just kind of cut it that way, and because I like to know how they sound, and I feel if I try to write stand-up comedy, if I sit down and write it, I feel my brain switches to kind of writing mode, as if it's something is to be read, and my jokes just become long.
Right. And then, but once you start saying those things out loud, you kind of know where to cut
exactly.
it.
This is too long. This is
the setup is going forever.
Exactly. I'm just I'm just going into details about stuff that don't make any sense. Right. So I'm just I just try to say stuff out loud, and just keep trying them and all of them, and then just try them on stage. And sometimes it's sometimes it's so funny because you get on stage and you just been thinking about one punchline for so long, and you can't come up with it, and then you're on stage in front of people, and it just comes out, and here it is.
Yeah, that's funny. So for the longest time, okay, I don't have my phone on me. Okay, it's over there. I forgot that I had my phone recording. Anyway, I used to, back in the UK, I used to do this thing where I would look at news stories, and I would go for Daily Mail news, because they're the dumbest news you can get. And I would look at these news stories and be okay, how do I take one hook from a story hook and then write, that's the setup, and then write the punchline to it.
Yeah.
And that was really fun to do because kind of, you think in one-liners. So
of course, yeah.
That was really fun. I actually wanted to try that out on the podcast as well and be like, hey, so what do you think of this? Could you combine it with a punchline? Fun.
And I've only done that in the context of like late night, or like when, or like, you write something for Twitter or something, so you want like to be like commenting with the news, and you're like punchy, quick.
Yeah.
But for my stand-up itself, I'm just like, I don't really do much news just because just in case the news gets old.
Yeah.
And then you can, exactly, and then you can't do it anymore. But yeah, I do write though, like when I like if I feel like I came up with something that I don't want to forget, so I'll like write it as a line or like in my notes or something, just so I can like remind myself of like what the funny part of the joke, basically. Right. Like the setup, I'll fucking come up with the setup later. I just need to have like the punchline down.
Yeah. For me, mostly it pops into my head something funny that just I start thinking about it. I'm like, that's a weird thought, and then it kind of unravels and it turns into a bit. That's usually how it works for me. Those punchy jokes, those were for BBC, for like Newsjack. That's why I was writing them for, so sort of like late night. But I loved thinking in that way. But you just can't really do that on stage because you just turn over so fast.
Yeah, because everything works for different mediums. Like stuff that kill on late night will not do well on like stand up and vice versa. Right. Like sometimes like I have stuff that gets a big laugh when I do it on stand up, but then if you tweet it, it doesn't do well.
Right.
Because you just have to do it. You have to say it out loud, and that's the funny part.
Right.
But it's funny because people do this shit all the time here, like in New York and stuff. Like you see someone tweet something, and then they go on stage and just literally just read it, and basically, and it's just like, cool.
Yeah, I recently noticed comics doing that because they'll share their tweet on Instagram. I don't really use Twitter, and then I'll think, oh, that's so funny. And then I'll see them do the exact same tweet on stage. And it's, whoa, that was, I never seen that before.
It's funny in the written form. Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, because your brain processes it differently. And it's just like, I feel like it's such a hard thing for people to understand. And it's like, there are so many different mediums of comedy. Like, you don't have to be good in all of them. It will not make sense.
Right.
Like for example, like I don't do sketch comedy. I don't write sketches, and because I don't really enjoy writing sketches, and it doesn't really appeal to me. I'm just like, I'll write stand up or write late night. I'll write.
Right.
Some people are like really good at like doing TikTok videos, but it doesn't mean you can do stand up.
Yeah, and I think that's also a recent transition that people are starting to realize is not really working. Like they'll get someone who has like 1 million TikTok followers, and then they'll put them on a stage, and they'll bomb.
Of course they'll bomb. Yeah. Because like, you're like, oh, so you took the person who people enjoy seeing for no more than 30 seconds. And this person should talk for a long time. I'm like, that's literally the opposite of what they're doing.
Right.
They're good at very short form comedy. Why are they on stage? Like, I get it. Like, if you're like a stand-up person and you do TikTok, because there's so many ways you can do TikTok.
Yeah.
But like, if you only do TikToks and then you're like, I mean, I guess you can be good at stand-up if you want to like, because like what you're saying is like a lot of people like don't want to do it like the traditional way. Like I get it. Like you do TikTok, you're funny, but then you're like, oh, I want to try stand-up. But they don't do the local shows. They don't do the open mics. They don't do the 10-minute sets. They just go on and book a club and sell it because they do have the fans. Yeah. And that's all what the club cares about.
Right.
And then they want to do an hour. I'm like, but you don't have material for an hour. And like, not to be like, it's like sometimes it's so hard to tell people that because they're like, think you're gatekeeping stand up from them or something. And I'm just like, it is hard. I do it and I think it's hard. A lot of days it feels so hard to make people laugh, and it's like even sometimes the stuff that works, it's hard to make them work again in different contexts.
For sure.
And I love it. I do enjoy it, but it's like it's not easy. And like
It's not. And when people talk about the formula, I'm like, what is this formula? Like, who has it? Does someone have it?
Yeah, exactly.
It makes those, because you can do the same joke that's worked like at 5 different places, but in the 6th place, it might not work. So the formula obviously is not foolproof, whatever it is.
Exactly, yeah, because there's so many aspects of it. There's the room, there's the audience, there's the vibe, there's the time of the day. There's so much that goes on into this shit. And people think they're just like, I'm like, cool, you sold the place, you did, but you don't have jokes. You don't have like, this is not, you can't just talk. And I feel like that's the other thing that people don't realize. I'm like you can't just go there and you have like vague ideas of what you want to talk about and talk about that. Like a lot of this stuff are just like, I had to, you try so many times and you cut and you add and you change words and you do so much for it to eventually, sound good. And I get it, after a while of doing stand-up, sometimes like you think of something and you do it on stage and it kills, just because like
you learned how to do it, you've learned how to think in that way.
Exactly.
But when you're starting out, for sure, like you notice that sometimes putting a word at the beginning of the bit instead of at the end will change how it's received.
Exactly.
But there's no way you know that from the beginning.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm like, now I can like think of something funny and then I'm like, I know how to get on stage and make it sound like a joke.
Right.
You talk slow, you do this, you do that, and then you end it, and you just kind of like, sandwich it in between your other jokes, and it just sounds, it sounds funny.
Yeah.
And then obviously you'll work it and you'll make it better eventually, but still, it will still sound like a joke. But then you see these people and they're just like, I'm like, bro, you're talking.
Yeah, you're just talking. Yeah. Like, where's the you need a setup and a punchline. Where are these?
Where this is going, and like you can't just
it's all set up.
Exactly, or just like yell your punchline, or like or when you want people to laugh, or just like I'm like, it has to end somewhere. Like the ending needs to be the strongest part. And you can just move on to the other thing. And like, I'm like, oh, did we just not? We're not gonna finish that part. Are we just moving on right now?
I love that. I love the concept of just setups, no punchline.
Yeah. So it's so weird to me. I don't know. And I mean, like, that's you can't stop people from doing comedy. I'm like, hey, you can do it. If you want to fucking sell this venue and make your money and go. But I am one person. It does not matter. I just don't find it funny. If that's what you want to do and keep making money, that's your thing. I just don't think it's enjoyable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm like, the joy for me is for people to laugh, and I think it's such a nice feeling.
Yeah.
Like when you like write something and people laugh at it, and you're like, oh, I did this, I wrote this. This is so good. Just like such an, you write what. It's so funny, like, when you have a new joke, this is all you can think about. Every time you do it and it kills, you're just like, oh,
so happy. Yeah. Or when you write a joke and it works the first time you do it, you're like, fuck yeah, that was such an amazing feeling.
I know. And you do it until like you're tired of that. Like, but it's so funny because like, and it's such a thing, because I'm just like, and people can tell that you're excited about it, so they will laugh too, because it's an energy thing. Because like, you're doing your whole set waiting to get to that joke because you're just so proud of it. And I'm trying to learn how to like, even if I'm not, like, I told this joke so many times and I'm so tired, I'm like, just to fake that enthusiasm for it, because I feel like that's what people get from. Because like, why are they laughing at this new joke so hard, even though I have similarly like good jokes, but they're just like, oh, they can see.
They feel your energy for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely I started adding more energy to my performances, because in the UK I used to do more like low energy deadpan kind of stuff, and then when I moved here I realized people need like more punchy quick stuff for you to get through. Like people are not forgiving here. They don't let you just tell a bit. They don't like long setups. They don't like stories. So then it kind of forced me to put more energy on, and now I've sort of gotten into that stage where before I go on stage, I just like bring the energy.
Yeah, exactly. You want to be like, you want
to be excited.
You also like, like you want to be an entertainer too, because it's just like,
And I also always remember that, people are paying, people are taking time out of their lives to come to a comedy show, and just like treating them with like basic respect and dignity, and being like, all right, you deserve some good jokes. You deserve some good energy.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like this is still hard for me too, because it's just like, sometimes like you forget that you're doing these jokes for the audience.
Right.
You're not doing it for the other comics.
Right.
But it's very hard because like you're just like, you want the other comics to think you're cool, and you want them to think you're funny, and you want them to laugh at your jokes too. Right. And sometimes like when you do a joke that you know that they've heard before, you kind of like don't want to do it. But that's not your audience.
Yeah, that's true. I feel that often, but it's like the audience has never heard it before.
Exactly.
They're the ones you're doing it for.
Exactly. Yeah. This is new for them.
Yeah.
This is exciting for them. Also, when I see someone do a joke that I've seen do 1,000 times before, I don't care. And
that's true.
Like I'm like, no, but it's their joke. Like, of course they're gonna do it. I know how hard it is to write jokes, but like once you're there, you forget that the people in the audience who are comics, they know, they understand, they get it. It's like they do it too. So like, and also you're not there for them. And I feel like once you start like, a lot of people do this shit too, because they're just like, I feel like once you start like focusing on the other comic, you start doing a lot of like inside baseball shit.
Oh, okay.
That's only funny for the comic.
Yeah, I never do that, but yeah, I can see what you're saying.
No, I see other people doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, you're just trying to make your friends laugh?
Right.
By like being like hyper specific stuff. Or like, this is I hate this type of comedy so much, but like when people do comedy about stand-up comedy, or like they're start telling jokes about open mics or something.
Yeah, like no one can relate to that other than comics. Yeah, for sure.
These people don't understand. Like how many people have asked you like how do you write jokes, or like do you do comedy, and like they're just mesmerized by the concept of like doing open mics, and like they don't understand like this is a whole process.
Yeah.
That you're doing, because to them you're just thinking stuff, coming to the stage and telling stuff.
And no one cares. Like the audience doesn't care about your open mic experience per se, right? Like they just give them the jokes. That I don't know. That's a weird thing to me. One thing I really dislike is when people comment on stage on how the audience receives their bits. That really kills me. That really puts me off.
It's so funny to me because I'm just like, has that ever helped anyone?
Right.
It doesn't help. Yeah. Sometimes the room sucks. It's okay. What are you gonna do about it? You know, like we've all been in places where like in a room and we know the performance is good, but the vibe is off.
The vibe is off.
And that's no one's like fault.
Right.
Like like people are not there like intentionally like not laughing. Just your jokes. It does not matter. Like,
and it's also okay to know that some days you're just not that funny. Like sometimes your vibe is off too. Yeah. Like it shouldn't be because you're a performer, but it is. Sometimes like other things are going on, or like you can be exhausted, and that translates on stage to a bad performance.
Exactly. I mean, like that's the thing is if you're treating it as a job, people like have off days, and like they're like fucking like great athletes who have like off days or like an off season.
Yeah.
It does not mean that they're bad. They're just like there's something.
Absolutely.
There's like the energy of it. But I don't know.
Yeah, that is funny. So last question for you: when did you decide to get into stand-up? What made you get into it?
The first time I did stand-up, this was a New Year resolution.
Wow.
So I did that. It was literally January of 2016. But because remember I was talking about college and like electives and stuff, and I took one of the electives I took was public speaking, and the professor who was teaching it is the one who was like, you should try stand up, and I did. That's why I got it.
That's great. That's good. January 2016. I must have started stand up a few months after that.
Yeah. But it's just like it's just like. But like that thing, I feel like I had to, like, I was a fan of stand-up, but like I had to, like, but I haven't really like did that, like public speaking in front of people and trying to be funny. You're funny in conversation and everything, but like, it's a whole different beast when you have to do it like in front of a crowd.
In front of a crowd, yeah. I used to do public speaking back in Denmark, And that's where since I think 2012, and I started noticing that every time I went on stage, I made the audience laugh. So I would talk about very personal stuff, but I liked when there was like a funny twist to it and it made the audience laugh, and because you kind of broke the tension. Because I would build a lot of tension with the story and break it with laughter. And then when I got into comedy, I was like, oh, it's the exact same thing. Yeah. It's just way less tension building, basically.
Yeah.
So that was quite interesting. But public speaking and stand-up, they're so related.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, that's the main part. I mean, that's what scares people the most, is like talking in front of other people.
Yeah.
Because usually you're talking to strangers, and that's what. Because I feel like if you're funny in conversation like with people, it's just like, but they already have the context, they know you, and you can just get to it. And there's like so much like, but with stranger, they have no idea who the fuck you are.
No. Yeah, I think, often also what people are afraid of is being funny in front of strangers. Yeah. Right? It's like they might be able to speak in front of strangers, but trying to be funny in front of strangers is
exactly. Yeah, you have to make them laugh. Yeah, just like telling stories is a different thing. Because all you need them to do is literally just listen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Mohanad, this was lovely. Thanks for coming on.
Of course.
I can talk to you forever. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram. Then you can find me on Twitter at Mohanad Elshieky. You can find me at my home. I'll give you the address. It's
we'll put it in the link.
Just put it like a Google map.
Link.
Make
he needs a stalker.
Make sure you put my apartment number too, because it's there's a lot of apartments there.
Right.
I need them to know.
Yours. And you want them to send you like 7 heads or a basket of muffins? Which one?
I don't know, man. It just depends on the day. Just look from the window and see how I'm feeling.
All right. Well, this was Let's Hookah. Follow us for more stuff. Check out more episodes. You can follow me on Cansudistat, CANSUDISTAT on Instagram. Thank you.